Divine greetings, ones and zeros, zeros and ones, boys and girls that are now men and women, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, spiritual beings that are in this divine matrix. Welcome. My name is Clay. In this share, I'm talking about how the recent catastrophe, devastation of the hurricane in Jamaica is affecting my mental. One of the things that I see in similarity to how I experienced the the healing of my mind with schizophrenia is two things come to mind: Stockholm Syndrome and PTSD. Stockholm Syndrome, which they're similar. Stockholm Syndrome is where the captor, the person who captures the other person, is protected by the person who they captured. So you have the capture and you have the abuser. Just like you have the colonizer or the enslaver and the enslaved, right? So in Stockholm Syndrome, the person is so traumatized wherein they don't know that the person who is traumatizing them is the quote-unquote enemy. So they should stay away from the enemy. They should stay away from the colonizer if they can. Not only that, they should be able to point out the colonizer at any moment. And I say that because I can't forget that I went through schizophrenia and I'm still going through it. I cannot forget that for a moment, because the moment I forget it, the moment I become susceptible to it. It's like an alcoholic or a drug addict or a rape victim. If the alcoholic forgets that he's an alcoholic or she's an alcoholic, then they're going to drink alcohol again. If the drug addict who's recovered forgets that they're a drug addict, they're going to do things that lead them back to taking drugs again. If the rape victim forgets that they've been a rape victim, then that rape victim will not be able to identify a rapist. So that is how the Stockholm Syndrome comes into effect, where the person who is captured forgets that they were captured and then even defends the capturer. Post-traumatic stress disorder is something where it's more of a psychological thing now. Now that you've been captured, you can't see the oppressor as the oppressor. You can't see the rapist as the rapist. You can't see the drugs as the drugs. You can't see the alcohol as the alcohol, because it makes you feel good. You think you feel good by this thing that really doesn't make you feel good. This thing is being a parasite to your soul. So that is PTSD, which I suffer also. Now, as I'm talking about this relative to the disaster in Jamaica. Because I'm seeing this play out of tribalism. I'm seeing a play out of tribalism even more and more. I'm seeing where the government of Jamaica is, from what I'm observing on social media, that's my source of many of these things, what I observe on social media. And I know that social media is not the wherewithal of everything that exists. So I'm discerning from what I gather from social media. When I see the government saying things like those who are giving aid, talking to what I understand, the entertainers or the well-to-doers, those who can afford to give in a certain manner, there are certain procedures that they should abide by in giving aid, right? That's to me is a form of tribalism. And then I hear the entertainers saying that the government hasn't put things in place for them to give properly. In the one incident that I see with, there's this ongoing thing with Buju Banton and the government saying who robbed this and who don't rob this and whose responsibility it is to make sure so the people them don't rob this versus all of those things. And there's so much corruption. It's systematic. In my opinion, from what I am seeing, right? This is not surprising. It would have surprised me in the past, but no, this is not surprising. If the head of the stream dirty, then where the river meets the ocean, chances are it's going to be dirty. So if you see where the river meets the ocean dirty, the head of the stream is very dirty. So if people are taking things at the wharf, it's a symptomatic thing to show what the leadership is doing. This is the leadership, a representation of the leadership of the country. Now, that is one aspect of the tribalism. The next thing is that I hear people defending the government and people defending the entertainers. So again, it's forming a distraction, a tribalism, right? There's no unity, right? There's dysfunction happening and it's there for everybody to see. And I'm speaking out on it because the dysfunction that I am seeing is to be expected. And people are talking as if it is not to be expected. That is the issue that I'm having mentally. Every time I see these things, it's like, you never expect that? How is it you didn't expect that? And I'm coming at this now from a perspective after having a schizophrenic break, after doing some mental rewiring, after paying attention to the words of Bob Marley, the words of Marcus Garvey, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. That's the angle that I'm coming from. And knowing that that is not an easy thing to do. However, it is the only thing that is important in life, to free yourself from mental slavery. It's the most important thing. Otherwise, you're just a slave. Otherwise, you're going to hear things in the Bible like the shepherd and the sheep, and the good shepherd and the sheep, and not take into consideration that every shepherd have the sheep to fleece them. Even if the shepherd don't eat meat, the shepherd is going to kill that sheep. That's why they have sheep. Okay, so that is to show the arrangement that I am seeing of the government and the people. And that has been going on since colonial times with the enslavers. Now, this brings me to the point where we say that Jamaica received independence in 1962. In this devastation, in this catastrophe, it's an opportunity for people to rewire their mental. To see that the enslavers never left. They just change shape, they change color, they change skin tone. But the fear that was in the colonizer to make them behave unlovingly was induced in the children and in the slaves, black people, who were never really slaves, right? Induce in the slaves, or I should say the so-called slaves. And then the slaves, the so-called slaves have children and have children, and then them take over the slave master attitudes and behavior because the same fear was induced into the slaves, and the slaves never did the work to remove the fear. So I'm seeing where in this disaster, this is a capacity, this is an opportunity for people to rewire their mental. And as they rewire their mental, right, one of the main things is that in 1962, they say we were given freedom, and that is a lie. Because if we were given freedom, there's basic needs that the earth provides for every human. There's food, clothes, and shelter. Right? Now, to secure food, clothes, and shelter with humility in the earth, meaning say you're humble to the earth and you realize say the earth has provided for you. To have that humility in the earth, so you know bad mind and all them things there. Or you not have no excuse for bad mind. Everybody need food, clothes, shelter, and you need land to secure that. So everybody should have get, from birth, everybody should have get a piece of land designated for them, and them go work them piece of land so them can't bad mind nobody. Right? However, the government that was put in place is the legacy of the colonial masters. And here it is, we are again, after this disaster, facing tribalism. That is one of the ways I can put it. Which is no different from Stockholm Syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder. Because everybody operating disorderly. That brings me to an important point too, which is the Maroons. Nani did not compromise with the British. I am seeing within my cognition, within my awareness, I am not compromising with the British, the Americans, the enslavers, the colonizers, the captors. I refuse to be a drug addict, an alcoholic, and a rape victim. All those things that I am saying I have been through. I've been all those things. And through the schizophrenic break and rewiring my mind, I am seeing that I am healing those things. So I am able to identify the colonizer, the enslaver, the captor, the drugs, the alcohol, the rapist. I'm able to identify all those things, and therefore I call them out when I see it. And this takes me now to the point of spiritual well-being. Nani of the Maroon was a spiritual leader. Nani of the Maroon was a spiritual healer. This was a great woman who knows that if you allow yourself to be induced with fear, if you allow yourself to be induced with fear, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to effectively enslave yourself and become someone's slave. And this is what I am seeing going to happen again in this disaster. The people need spiritual help. People need spiritual help. The main thing that I see, otherwise, is a sheep and shepherd behavior continuing on. The aid money are going to get wrapped up. Everybody know that. People are going to still vote. What are they voting for? I I know what they're voting for. They're voting for security, which is in truth insecurity. The other thing I have to say is that me and my partner had the idea of a procedure to help heal people, help heal the trust in the land, which was to get some money donated, right? And in getting that money donated, to send the money directly to the business people and have the business people allocate the different goods to people, because we saw that food is going to be pumping in, but the thing that the people need is more aid as it relates to building, right? So we were saying that we would send money directly to the business, like to the hardware stores and these places, right? And that was difficult because the hardware places is like they have an inner circle where, and there are certain procedures when you're sending money to business places for them to allocate money. Nobody wants that kind of responsibility, or there's kickback. It's not an easy process. And that is systematic of the lack of trust in the system that is there. That is also one thing that I wanted to mention. The other thing is the other thing that I wanted to mention is that the hurricane season and the predictability of weather. Now I am 44. I went through Gilbert, right? Now I'm understanding that there is a 37-year cycle of hurricane in Jamaica, right? So for the past 4 cycles of 37, hurricanes have been coming to Jamaica, and there have been big hurricanes. The government said that them set up an office. I believe the name is Office of Disaster Preparedment, Emergency Management, something like that, right? And this should be something that the government predict, because that is what they're getting paid to do. That is what they are in place to do, to govern the people, to lead the people, to help the people as the people help them, because the people are helping them to have the opportunity to have the experience as leaders. Don't think that the people them not help them. I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about money. In their soul contract, they have the ability to experience leading a set of people. The other thing is that the type of building. Before my schizophrenic break, I worked as an architect. I worked in the capacity of an architect. And I know that there are building methodologies that are much more viable, particularly for single family homes, right? That withstand earthquake, that withstand hurricane, that withstand flooding. There's this type of building called eco-dome, right? Which is dome homes, which is it spiritually it's better for the human being. So for single family homes, these things can be built for very little money. If you want to put a lot of money into it, you can. However, for the common man, for the basic man, for the man who is not so materialistic, or to your choice, you can bling it out if you want, right? However, there are eco-dome homes that can cost about, from my estimation, about 10,000 US dollars that look really good. These are the type of things that the government should be influencing the people to do. You use the earth that is right there on your feet to make these homes. For people who want to look it out or look about it, Eco Dome Homes, and the pioneer of this is an architect named Nadir Khalili. These homes have been recommended by the United Nations. Okay, so these are the things I wanted to talk to the collective about. And I'm happy I can get that off of my mental, rewiring my mental to bring information to people in this way. Ashe, Amen, and Namaste. Each one, reach one, teach one.